Well, now at 4, the worst of Helene's wind will be moving through over the next 4 hours. We'll have the latest on the high wind warning in the forecast.
And we are tracking Helene as it carves a path of death and destruction across the south, leaving dozens dead and millions so far in the dark.
And reeling from Helene's impact here in Indiana, from strong winds to downed trees and power outages at this hour, they're likely to grow. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
And we start here at 4 on this Friday with the latest on Helene. Look at what's left. We are seeing its impact from Atlanta to North Carolina and here at home. The storm slammed ashore last night as a massive Category 4 hurricane. It has since weakened to a tropical storm, but it is still moving powerfully to the north. So far, 34 people have died, and right now more than 4 million people are without power.
More than 900 flights have been canceled all across the country, including Charlotte, Atlanta, and Tampa International, all being impacted the most. Although more airports are also feeling the ripple effect as well, because that's what happened when one is impacted. There's that domino effect. So far, when you add it up, there have been nearly 3,600 delays nationwide.
And likely to grow. Good to have you with us here at 4 on this Friday afternoon. Let's get right to meteorologist Sean Ash, who's tracking the path of this system and its impact on so many of us.
One thing I want to point out, Louisville has had a bunch of tree damage. Their highest wind gust was under 50 miles per hour because the ground is now saturated. It won't take as much to get these pockets of trees knocked down here. So let me show you live Doppler 13 radar. We've been highlighting and bracketing the hours between 4 and 8 for our strongest gust. And we believe that will happen with this heavier rain band that's moved through Cincinnati. They got hit hard. A lot of trees and power outages down there. So far, our gust in the 35 to near 40 mile per hour range here. Power outages, you can see them spiking there around the Cincinnati region. They're sporadic here in central Indiana. This map should change tremendously, I believe, in the next 4 hours, because we're looking south and east where that rain band has been pushing through, and it's now going to be moving into the central portions of Indiana. All these dots are wind reports or wind damage here within that band, and so it's starting to whip in, and from now until 6 or 7 o'clock from east to west, we should see an increase in higher gust and an increase in power outages. How much tree damage we get, that's still be determined. It's most likely to occur within this high wind warning. In addition to all of that, we'll have to watch on the southern edge of these heavier cells that develop. We've got tornado warnings over parts of Ohio. We cannot completely rule embedded rotation out within some of these bands that set up here. This is by 8 p.m. So Angela and I will continue to follow this through the evening, and you should too. Stay weather aware. It's not uncommon to get rotation within this. The rain and the wind will settle down by 11 o'clock, but we're not done with the rain for the weekend. I'll have that part of the forecast and how much rain to expect coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you so much. Let's take a live look right now outside of the road conditions. No traffic really right now, but you can see lots of rain or at least water on the lens of our camera there. This is I-74 and US 52 on the southeast side. We also have another view from another area here, I-65 and Eastern Boulevard. And as you can see, the pavement is wet at this hour, but the traffic is moving quite well.
Certainly good to see. We have been watching those road conditions closely as we head into the evening rush, along with power outages and storm damage.
Anna Chalker joins us live. She's from Franklin tonight with how it's looking in that area. Anna.
Hey, Dustin and Marie, I'll tell you right now, as we were driving through, we really didn't see a lot of tree damage or anything down right now, but I will tell you, these wind gusts, they are powerful. My photographer and I, we've been kind of having to stabilize ourselves because we've been getting pushed around, but I want to show you behind me right now, I am at 65, right off of 65. You can just see the water picking up off of these cars, these semis, as they're trying to get through, because it is just really wet on the roadways as we've been coming down. The wind has been picking up that rain, so it's very hard to see, especially if you're driving. I do want to put in perspective too how windy it is. We just saw geese a couple minutes ago they were struggling to fly around. So I'm telling you, it is getting very windy out here at Franklin. But throughout the day, we spent the day around Indianapolis just to kind of see what that looks like. So I want you to see really quick what that video looked like. This is a downed tree on Tacoma Avenue near 30th and Keystone. You can just really see a good section of that tree taking over the street. Our crews were also out when a tree was sitting on a power line in Broad Ripple. An Indy DPW crews responded pretty quickly to those scenes as well as others throughout the day. Now the department says as wind and rain comes in throughout the night, it's important to make sure you're safe.
Nothing is worth your safety, so please make sure that you are staying in place and sheltering where you can. If you have to be on the roads, please make sure you're doing so cautiously. If you experience a flood zone, turn around, don't drown. Allow yourself the opportunity to get to where you need to be.
We've been hearing all day that power outages could be widespread tonight, so make sure you're calling your local power company, see maybe if they partner with a different company throughout this, and also with any damage, call and crews will be out as fast as they can. We know it's going to be a busy night. And one thing to keep aware of while we've been out here today, there is a pole behind me right now that's tilted. Now, if you see anything like this or a tree, do not get near it, because at any moment it could fall. You just don't know when that could possibly happen. So always just want to make sure that you're staying away from that and keeping yourself safe. We're going to be tracking this rain as we go through. We're going to be heading more north into Indianapolis, and throughout the afternoon we'll have more updates coming up at 5.
And we can hear that strong wind too.
Right. Anna, thank you. Please go take cover. Let's go down now to Florida. This is where so many communities are dealing with flooding on this Friday afternoon. What you're looking at here is drone footage from the Sarasota area. This storm had been predicted to cause 15 to 20-foot surges of water in some areas. What is that, you ask? Well, it's about 2 stories tall. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of bridges and roadways that right now in that area are closed. Some of the bridges that connect to areas like Siesta Key are only open right now for residents of the island or business owners that are able to present a valid ID. Authorities right now are getting out of this hour when they can and where they can, looking for damage. And that damage isn't just in Florida right now. There are huge portions of the southeast right now that are grappling with life-threatening floodwaters.
And infrastructure at risk of buckling under all the strain. We're talking about a span of really more than 650 miles. Michael Yoshida shows us.
This is still a very dangerous situation. Even though some of the storm surge is receding in Florida.
Boats on yards in front of homes, roofs torn off, trees toppled, vehicles crushed. Many Floridians are assessing Helene's punishing overnight blow while the threat moved north.
There's still so much that's happening across many states.
Potentially historic and devastating flood levels are washing across large parts of the southeast.
We're also trying to get to multiple structures right now that we know have individuals inside that we're unable to communicate with.
Georgia's governor confirming Friday afternoon that multiple people remain trapped in buildings. Water rescues in that state and others have essentially been nonstop since Helene's landfall. In North Carolina, forecasters predict Helene's impact to be one of the most significant weather events to happen in the modern era for the region. At least 2 storm-related fatalities have happened there. Around mountainous Asheville, already saturated from pre-Helene rains, there are other threats.
I am worried about potential building falling and collapses and landslides.
The river just keeps coming up. I don't know when it's supposed to crest today, but it's...
Trees are down on roads everywhere. Don't get out if you don't have to.
Good advice echoed by just about every emergency management official.
You need to exercise extreme caution.
In Steinhatchee, Florida, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
And now we're dealing with the rain and the wind right here in central Indiana. So we want to make sure you're armed with the latest information. Make sure you have the Live Doppler 13 weather app. You can get it on your phone, and that's the way really to keep the closest eye on all the weather changing conditions that we're seeing right now. If you don't have it, go get it right now. It is a free download, and you can find it as always in your phone's app store.
Now to some of the other headlines this afternoon. An Indianapolis man is headed to prison for 40 years for killing his ex-wife's new husband.
But where the shooting happened adds even more grief for the families that are involved. Our Rich Nye today had his camera in the courtroom as that sentencing proceeding went underway.
Stephen Lowe shot and killed his ex-wife's new husband in a church parking lot at her mother's funeral. The sentence handed down Friday in this courtroom is 40 years in prison. The impact on multiple families is hard to quantify. Stephen Lowe took a plea deal that dismissed a murder charge. He pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter. Lowe showed up at the funeral at Oasis of Hope Church on East 25th Street on November 5th, 2022. He started a fight with Jermaine Turman, the new husband of Shannon Turman, Lowe's ex-wife. Witnesses said Lowe went back to his car, then pulled up and pulled out a gun, shooting Jermaine in the chest. The deputy prosecutor read a statement from Shannon.
That day at my mother, Lisa Jean's funeral, was the most devastating day of my entire life. Why you came to hurt us, I will never understand. My mother loved you, and all she wanted was a great homegoing, and you ruined that for her and all of us.
Lowe's attorney also read a statement from his client.
I'm terribly sorry for what happened. We'll spend the rest of my life trying to make myself a better person.
Jermaine Turman was 42 years old, a father of 5 children. In Indianapolis, Rich Knight, 13 News.
Jermaine Turman's mother spoke at the sentencing today. You're going to hear from her coming up on 13 News at 5 and see the touching moment when she took time to comfort the family of the man who killed her son.
We do have an update for you today on a construction project that's been happening for more than 40 years.
4 decades.
Yes.
Wow. A portion of Pleasant Street is back open in Noblesville. Today, Pleasant Street from River Road to 8th Street opened up. It'll remain closed, though, from 8th Street up to 12th. 10th Street is also still closed from South Pleasant to North Walnut. And the government is once again giving away COVID tests. We're going to talk about the limit and how you can sign up. Sean?
Well, a wet and a windy evening in progress here. We'll let you know how much rain we're expecting and break down the weekend outlook coming up in your forecast.